Journal entry 11, Norman's Revenge. When I was a child, my dad once told me that I had a spiritual gift and that it was hidden away in the chambers of my heart. He told me that I was a seer of truth. But as I grew older, he reminded me that I would need to strengthen my discernment to sharpen the ability to tell truth from lies. He warned me that even though this gift was beautiful, it would not be welcomed by most, and that some people would hate me if I ever spoke the truth out loud. But when I asked why, he simply stated that the world hates the truth, but are lovers of lies. I realize now that he was trying to prepare me to navigate through a life full of intricate lies. And as far as school, it wasn't just difficult, it was survival. Even though there were problems at home, I did manage to carve out somewhat of a social life. But in truth, it was a facade to conceal the fact that my life was falling apart. Even then, I didn't feel like I had a gift. I was just trying to make it through the day, both at school and at home, never really fitting in anywhere. Then came the day Norman returned from the hospital. That week, I overheard my mom scolding him for defending me against Nick's attack. She told Norman that protecting me wasn't his responsibility, that his only duty was to protect her, even if I ever turned against her. That moment broke something inside me. My own mother was teaching my brother to betray me, to go against his natural instincts to protect his little sister. She was teaching him that loyalty to her mattered more than love for me. I saw the confusion in his eyes, and it planted a kind of tug-of-war inside him. And that battle between family, between who to side with, probably played a major role in triggering his mental breakdown. And then I wondered, if she said those things to Norman about me, what was she whispering to Nick behind my back? As time passed, Norman and I drifted apart. If our relationship was strained before, it eventually became non-existent. I noticed his decline almost immediately after he came home. He started talking to himself more, acting in ways that didn't make sense. His moods shifted like storms, crying one moment, stone-faced the next, then erratic bursts of behavior that left me shaken. Being around him felt like his illness was seeping into me, stealing pieces of my life. He was doing strange, reckless things, stealing traffic signs, standing in the rain with a sheet tied around his neck like a cape, carrying pockets full of bugs. It was embarrassing. It was like his antics were being normalized. I mean, when Norman stole Mom's car and crashed it, her only response was, "He's just acting out." But had I done that, there would have been war. In that house, boundaries were practically non-existent. Things from my room went missing, and nothing was ever addressed. Nick dismissed it all, calling Norman just lazy. And worse, every time something happened, my mother would call Nick and tell him I was the one to blame. I mean, she was going around telling anyone who would listen that I was a lazy, rebellious teenager that was making her life miserable, and that couldn't have been farther from the truth. And I'm sure Linda was somewhere in the background enjoying my pain. No doubt Nick filled her in on everything, his version of course. Linda was the type that thrived on gossip, and hearing about my personal struggles had her laughing at my pain. And hidden in the black void in her heart, she enjoyed every moment of it, and I felt helplessly trapped, unable to do anything about it. Journal entry 12. With all the problems at home, it wasn't long before I eventually dropped out of high school. I couldn't keep up the act anymore. I couldn't keep pretending to be strong when inside I was breaking. Home was suffocating me, and the depression was pulling me under. I tried to go with the flow, but everything around me was so chaotic that the only peace I found was in staying gone as long as I could, out of sight, away from blame. But almost every time I came home at night, the police were already there. Nick and Norman were fighting constantly, usually because Norman hadn't cleaned the house. The air in that home was filled with shouting, with rage, with blame. That's when I secretly began to develop a plan to leave. Mainly because every single day, it felt like they made it their mission to either play with my heart or break it entirely. That's when I turned to drinking and smoking, just to numb the pain. I hid it from my dad. I couldn't bear for him to see how I was slowly giving up on myself. He was the only one still holding on to hope for me. That hope came in the form of a flower he gave me. I kept it in a vase on my desk, a small reminder that something delicate and beautiful could survive in my world. It was clear to me that my dad wanted me to believe in something greater than my circumstances at the time. And for a moment I considered it, that is until one day, I came home and saw that someone had cut the flower in half. It didn't even matter who had done it. What mattered was the message. There is no hope for you here.